And now, Rainer KOHLBERGER, the director of Moonblink. Rainer, you were awarded in Vienna a few weeks ago. Tell us about the award your Moonblink received.
It's the award at the Vienna Independent Shorts for the section Animation Avant-Garde.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And did you ever think about your film as an animated film? There is a lot of people who ask me about that this week. Every time I program that kind of experimental film, there is a lot of question that comes up about is this animation or not? So does the expression animation film make sense to you?
Yeah, the funny thing is with this festival, I've been asked all week a lot. Like the first question, if you introduce yourself, like, "Oh, are you an animator?" And I'm always, yes, I think so. Because so your question would be like the first question would be, no, I haven't thought about myself as an animator. But of course, my film, there's lots and lots of animation. So it's all basically animation. It's all coming out of the computer. So it's algorithms that are animated or that are animating the imagery that you see.
Is this comfortable for an experimental filmmaker like you to be in an animation festival? How do you feel you're more in your natural environment in an experimental film festival than here?
Yes, I mean I have to be honest. I'm a bit of an alien here, I have to say. So my film is a bit alien, maybe, and it's usually I'm at the festivals. I'm usually invited to. They are different from this one here because here it's really about animation and a lot of classic, cartoony things, and I usually don't see this so much. So it's not a natural environment for me, to be honest. Yes.
Uh-huh. Tell us about your technique, the technique you use. So it is all computer generated?
Yeah, and I can continue about your question about animation because at the same time it's all animated. Also another word for it would be a synthesis. So it's a lot of synthesis in there because the technique I use, it's all based on, it's all software, but the principle of the software, it's visual programming. So, and this visual programming principles, they are based on modular synthesis, like audio synthesizers, the thinking behind it. So you connect objects. So the way I animate, it's all real time. So it's all, the film would also be possible in real time. That means if I connect objects or if I change values, if I do parameters, I see it immediately, and I can, it's also, and that's why besides of animation and synthesis, it's also a term, the term visual music I really like. That also goes back to Fischinger and this kind of era of the cinema.
Were you at some point of your career inspired by all these pioneer of experimental film that were looking for visual music during the silent period during the 20s?
Probably yes. I mean, I've studied it all. In my diploma thesis, I did a lot of theory about it, especially by Victor Eckling, Viking Eckling, or Hans Richter. Absolute film. Thinking about really, what is film? So this question, what is film? And I continue. I try to expand it to the question, what do we see? So that would be, maybe influence for me. Yes.
Is there a big work of editing in a film like Moonblink?
No, zero.
Zero. Okay. So this is just the way you change the parameter who gives us the feeling that at some point it's a new shot, I would say.
Yeah, it's all a transformation, a big transformation. You know, the whole film is a movement, one big movement, and it all gets transitioned all the time. So subtle movements sometimes, but it's just thinking about flatness and endlessness and being just very subtly changing it over time. So I'm influenced by drone music, also by this other avant-garde idea of the 60s.
Okay. Questions from the people?
I absolutely love your film, and it reminds me of a Mark Rothko painting that if you sit in front of it long enough, everything disappears from your peripheral vision and you start seeing colours that actually take you into the painting. It's a very transcendental experience. It's almost mystical, which I got very much when I saw your film. And I was wondering whether you'd been influenced by ideas to do with, you know, transcendental ideas when you were actually changing the algorithms and seeing what was happening within the film.
Thank you. Not per se. So I'm not per se influenced by this idea, but I just mentioned the 60s, Lamonte Young and those guys. I know they went to, I don't know, Far East, and they were influenced, also Steve Reich with African music and stuff like that. So so maybe I'm like second generation influenced by some of these ideas, but per se, no. I have. It's just the way I work. So it's just the way hands down, and then where I arrived in my artist work, and now I just do films like that. But I get this a lot, like almost in every screening I get someone who tells me about, you know, I've been touched by a film in a way that's really brought me into a certain kind of state that he or she usually just gets after, I don't know, meditating or things like that. I absolutely don't do these things, but it's really, yeah, it's also nice to hear in a way, or it's of course, and it's also of course I have the other idea to really challenge your view in the cinema. So that's of course clearly my intention, to really because your eyes, they're really slow, our eyes, they're really slow, and so I work with that in a way. So things are changing, and of course I'm aware of that, and that everybody can get get you're not quite sure what you're seeing, so maybe everybody sees it a bit different, and that's the interesting way of thinking behind it.
I'm sorry, I have to speak frankly, but I was not very interested by the film. Maybe I am too old. Maybe I saw many experimental films before. I remember Andy Warhol filming somebody sleeping 24 hours long. My question would be, when do you decide the film is finished?
You just know. You just know, and then it's finished.
Rainer, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks.